doesn't happen out of the blue. It's not like your average person all of a sudden is going to wake up and be possessed. There is pretty much always an explanation. They have turned to evil in a very explicit way. They have turned to evil in a very explicit way. They have turned to evil in a very explicit way. For instance, in Julia's case, the context was obvious. She had turned to Satanism.
MLB Masokameng, quote-unquote prophet. He originates from Zion Christian Church. He was a Zion Christian Church member there. Then he became a Sangoma. Then he combined the two doctrines of spiritualism. Then he made his own cult
in a very explicit way.
And this is how he's getting his assistance from the demons, by blaspheming the word of God, by degrading God. Now listen to what he says about the events that took place before the creation of man, when God created Adam and Eve. A quick summary of what he has said is that he's saying that when God created Adam, he summoned up the angels and said to them, "Let us create Adam." And so Adam was created. But when God had to create Eve, he did not summon the angels. Instead, he created her without involving the angels, without them knowing. In the book of Isaiah 46, verse 9, God says, "Remember the former things of old, for I am God, there is none else. I am God, there is none like me." Declaring the end from the beginning, and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, "My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure." These verses clearly indicates to us that everything which God has done from the beginning of creation, when he had created Adam and Eve, he didn't need any permission from the angels nor from anything which he has created therein. And it clearly indicates that God does whatever that he wills, and he does whatever that pleases him alone. Not the angels, but God alone. In Genesis 1, verse 27, it reads, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female he created them." Meaning that God created Adam in his own image, meaning in the image of Adam alone. For there was no human being like Adam from the earth, even in the heavens. He is the first to be created in his own image, not in the image of God, but in the image of Adam. God had created the male and female of every species in the world, meaning from the animals, the birds, the insects, and so on and so forth. He created them, the male and the female of them. But when it came to Adam, he created him first, meaning he was the first of his own species. He was the first of mankind. With that being said, he created him in his own image, meaning Adam. There was no one resembling Adam. There was no species similar to Adam. Adam became unique. Then God paired him up with Eve. Let's get one thing straight here. The angels which God has created, they are not his assistants. They are his worshippers. Just like you and I, we are worshippers of God. The difference between us and the angels is that the angels, they do not have a say, meaning they only obey. God did not create them to have a choice. They only obey God. They do not know how to rebel. They only do when God instructs them to do something, they do it exactly to the dot. So when it comes to us human beings as well as the jinn kind, God has given us, you can call it free will, but a choice. We have a right to choose to obey or to disobey, to do or not to do. So that is the major difference between us and the angels. So when God declares something, He does not seek advice, or He will not seek advice from the angels or human beings or anything which He has created. He is the supreme, the most wise, the ever-knowing, and the most powerful. He, God alone, is totally independent of everything which He has created. He does not need everything which He has created. He does not need the prophets which He has created. He does not need us. He does not need the angels. He does not need the heavens and the earth. He does not need none of that. But everything which I've mentioned and more, we all depend on God entirely. You are busy worshipping Dibata, jinns. You are worshipping dead people, ancestors. You are worshipping angels, even though you don't know them. You are worshipping God. You are worshipping prophets like Jesus. And you are worshipping bishops. Angels are attracted to righteousness, cleanliness, or should I say godliness. Righteousness and godliness are one thing. It clearly means that being on monotheism, worshipping God in His oneness, as He ought to be worshipped, to be totally submitted to His will, to do His will, and to be free from paganism or to be free from idol worship in every form. Study about Islam, you owe it to yourself. May God guide us to His pleasure.